So 2 weeks ago, we both decided we would do these little. We at the time we called them little mini projects. You were going to upload this little YouTube video. I was going to write this blog post. We had been procrastinating on these for a long time, and we decided let's just do it. 1 week to go, and then it has to be done. We both did. They both took way longer than we were imagining they would, but we did it. As of podcast time last week, you were, I'm going to say, not feeling great about it. You had published your video, it was not getting very much traction at all. You expressed your disappointment with very few comments, reviews, and whatnot. I know that sounds kind of shallow, but that is the reality.
Yeah.
I had published my article, but hadn't really done much beyond that. Last week on Wednesday, I posted it to Hacker News, and that was really the intention all along for me. I really wanted it to do well on the Hacker News platform. That's the audience that I had in mind when I wrote it. So I posted it on Wednesday morning. I was really hoping I'd get something interesting out of it. And for the entire day, I got one upvote, or whatever they call it, and no comments or nothing. And that was it for me. So that's kind of technically that happened after the podcast for me. But regardless, that's kind of where we were at the beginning of the week. So how are you feeling now?
Well, everything's totally different now. After me whining last week, the next day the video started doing pretty good. Now it's still getting views. It's at like 3,500 views, which is modest. It's okay for me, or it's the best video I've ever done.
Yeah.
Or the most views I've ever gotten. So I honestly could not be happier about how it's turned out. The amount of comments I've gotten, the support I've got from it. This feels like the first time I've actually done something where it's actually made any difference, like lasting difference. I can say I have fans now, like actual fans of this project that I'm making. I have a website. I have people signing up for the mailing lists and asking for stuff, and they just seem genuinely excited about it. So I could not be happier about how it came out. I was thinking, it would be like everything else I've done, but this is honestly the first time in the 2 years that I've been talking about this project where it actually feels like a real thing and people actually like it and want more of it. And I'm just completely thrilled by it. And it's still getting some views, it's just sort of trailing there, but just totally different from last week. Just completely different.
And I think very critically, your subscriber count has grown, or almost doubled since. And I know that like the numbers aren't huge in, absolute YouTube terms, but the growth is amazing. And it clearly broke out of the, little hole that YouTube kind of had you in. So very, very promising. And you said all the responses were very positive and genuinely interested and all that. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, it's amazing. I've got hundreds of new subscribers, and I don't know. I'm very, very happy about it. I did not expect this much, but I got it. But your article is number 1 on Hacker News.
Yeah.
Number 1. Right now, if you look it up, it is. I don't even really know what that means because I don't know that much about Hacker News, but I know it's big, and I know you're at the very, very top of it. So that's pretty cool.
So first, I've realized that I don't know how Hacker News works because I posted it on Wednesday, and like I said, one upvote, and that was it. And I just figured, okay, whoops, that didn't work. Not what people are into, or it just didn't happen to catch, or whatever. And then today, I'm browsing Hacker News just because that's a thing that I do. And I'm looking at the top posts, and I'm like, wait, that looks familiar. And it was mine, and it's been doing really well. And
not really well. It is doing the best, right? I mean, it can't get any better than that, right?
I mean, Hacker News is you know, it's well respected in the tech community. It's, you know, it's a niche community in and of itself. But yeah, it's amazing. It is the best possible result that I could have gotten with that intention. And it's what's funny is the narrative that I was building for myself as of early this week. And I think also the narrative that you were building for yourself as of last weekend is like totally switched around now and just has to be completely rewritten. And
Mhm.
that's just a funny mental process to go through. And it's also funny how it feels like the way that I'm thinking about some of the stuff that I'm working on. I was actually very down this weekend, not because the article didn't do well, but it was sort of part of it. But just working on some of my projects and getting kind of stuck and frustrated and just feeling like, man, is this am I even on the right path here? Am I going to accomplish any of this stuff? Will anyone even care and all that? And then even though this wasn't really related to what I'm working on, seeing everyone really seemingly enjoying some of my musings and experiments was like, oh, I must be a really smart guy who's doing great stuff. And actually, it's just, I mean, it's silly and ridiculous, but the mental narrative is like, oh, actually, let's just completely rewrite that.
No, I think this is an incredible case study. I mean, uh, can we try to simplify this a little bit? Let's go through it again. We both have these things that we think we kind of want to do, and there's small things. I want to just be, you know, I my idea was I want to upload this sort of low key YouTube video. You want to just write a blog post. Simple
Yeah.
things. We never ever would have done them if we hadn't challenged each other to do them. So we had these projects in the back of our head we didn't think were anything spectacular, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
simple
Yeah. I
ideas.
mean, yeah.
We decide to work on them, just sort of challenging each other. We upload them. They go up, and they neither one of them gets any traction at all.
Yeah.
We both get super depressed. They're not even like, I
I,
mean, I'll admit that
we
I
don't
got pretty
we don't need to hedge too much here. I was pretty down about it for sure.
okay.
I would
Okay.
love to pretend like that kind of stuff is irrelevant and doesn't bother me. It's not true. I was pretty down.
Okay. I was too. Good. I'm glad we can admit that. And we both view these projects that we just put out as not good. We think, okay, well, we kind of screwed it up, whatever. I wasted a weekend. I
Yeah.
wasted 2 days working on this thing, and I feel a little embarrassed now because I uploaded this thing and it's not any good. And what's wrong with me? I'm defective and
Right.
whatever. I'll think twice about putting something out like that again, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
those were the thoughts I was having.
Right.
And it sounds like you were too. And then it flips.
Hmm.
And they both do. I mean, in my head, for mine, it could not have gone better for me. It's not like some viral thing or whatever.
Yeah.
For you, you hit the number one spot on Hacker News. Like, I can't imagine a better scenario for your blog post. I didn't even know blog posts got views or people read them anymore.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
that
either.
is incredible. Um, and now our view of the thing is totally different. I,
So, okay. Here's my question, or what I'm trying to think through here. Was the perspective, the lessons learned, all of that as of a week ago the right one? Is the euphoria of meeting some amount of success and being validated, is that the right way to think? Is it possible that maybe neither of those are the most correct way of narrating the whole situation? And I want to throw this out there too. There's something that I'm always perpetually aware of and cautious of, and I've learned this lesson in a pretty rough way. Was I found a lot of success on YouTube, back in the day when I was doing a lot of music theory stuff. That was one of those very validating, I mean, there was viewership, there was money, there was a promise of potentially a career doing this kind of thing. I mean, it was at the time as much success as I could have hoped for, and not even in the small experimental context, but in the much bigger. I'm one of the top persons in this subgenre on YouTube, and that ended up completely going wrong in my head. I mean, I was eventually unable to continue doing YouTube, and that's, I think, an extreme example and something that we've talked about and understand better. But there is this lesson that just keeps kind of floating around in the back of my head to say, be careful about celebrating too much or revising your self-image too much too quickly. I don't know, but anyway, what do you think about this weekend versus last weekend and the way you're thinking about your own projects and yourself and all of that?
Well, I definitely want to get to what the challenge is now, because it's a new challenge. The
Mhm.
challenge last week was how to overcome this sort of depression. I mean, it wasn't depression. It was, a minor setback and
Feeling down for
questioning
sure.
of
Yeah.
whatever. So the challenge last week was sort of overcoming that, getting back into the swing of things, or letting go and moving on. How do you do that? This is a much different challenge, but I don't think I want to get to that just yet. I the the story period, I think, is the problem. Whether it's good or it's bad. Our story last week versus our story this week, I think both of them are not important and really not something you can learn a lesson from. I think that's where we go wrong. And I think I knew this going into it last week, but I failed to to hold on to that, or to be able to let it go, or it took me a few days in order to overcome the story of it. Whatever. What I mean is the story we tell ourselves is the problem of, and I guess there's probably multiple stories that you come up with, but the idea of a failure or a success when you're going into a project, I don't know. There is this element of unknowingness, or unpredictability that we're dealing with in every single project that you ever do. And we fail to keep that in mind. So us uploading a thing, as soon as we do that, it's a success to us. At least that is the way we should probably view it. If we cared about it, we worked on it, we did the best we could in the time given,
Yeah.
and then we finish something and upload it. That should be the reward, or not the reward. That's the thing we're after, is to do things, right? Do them to the best of your ability and get them done and move on to the next thing. That's being a human. That's what we want in life, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Please interrupt me, because I
No,
think I'm losing.
there's been a few parts of this that I keep considering here. One, and I think this really needs to be emphasized, which is you had an idea to do a thing. I had an idea to do a thing. And we did not do them until fairly arbitrarily we just said out loud in a semi-public space, being this podcast, hey, if you want to just go ahead and make a little contract here that we get this done in a week no matter what. And I can't remember which one of us decided to say that out loud, but it easily could have just passed and we didn't, but we did. And so that was the decision point that went from doing a thing to not doing a thing. And I think that was very important. And the lesson that we were kind of forming up last week was we should do this 20 times. Just we should get good at this and continue to put things out there. And if I don't know that that would have been the same conclusion if we had skipped last weekend and done this weekend. You know, there does seem to be this thing, the winner's tilt. I think we've talked about before,
Mhm.
where when something goes well, you tend to pull back and want to just kind of peace out for whatever strange reason. That you want to leave on a win. You want to protect your new status as someone who's good at something, whatever. Losing, somehow it's much easier to just queue up again. And that that seems to be a phenomenon we've run into a lot. And somehow, I don't know, the lessons learned or the way we frame this, probably, I you said this, I think you're right. It should not depend on the thing that happened to come out of it. I mean, it easily could have been that your video just continued to get no traction. God knows why YouTube decided a day or two later to start showing it to people. I have no idea how Hacker News works. I don't know why randomly 4 days later it starts to trend. It may have just been, in fact, I think this is likely that a moderator was looking through and said, "Oh, this, I like this, and I'm gonna resubmit it to the front page." I think that is actually a thing that they do. So in a sense, it like got a second chance and happened to catch this time. Total, I mean, it easily could
Yeah.
have gone the other way. And any kind of lesson that's drawn from the success or failure is hinging on these very tiny little random chances that are not worth, building identity out of.
Okay, so here's my take or my thought, and that apart from recently in the last, I don't know, couple months or whatever, you've been hearing me, preach the gospel of the artist way and my new, way of
Yes.
thinking. Well, it's been working tremendously well, and one of the ways it's been working for me is I haven't been posting to YouTube, right? I did this one video. I want to start posting YouTube more, but I have been posting to Instagram, and I'll upload a reel every week or so, or twice a week, or something like that. I have been posting on social media basically bi-weekly for the last couple months. And that gives me these little,
Yeah.
ups and downs of feeling good about something, not liking it, whatever. I'm also, I'm putting out in these reels or in these posts, I'm putting out new artwork that I'm doing. And it's the same thing. You think, oh, this is the good one. This one I did really good on, and then it doesn't do well in reels or whatever. And then you question it. Oh, maybe it's not so good. And then maybe it'll do better later, whatever. So you go through these mini cycles of the story of yourself. Oh, I'm good. No, I'm not good. This one's good. No, the next one's good. Whatever. Like you go back and forth. And so the skill that I've been trying to develop, and I think I've gotten quite a bit better at this, is the resetting, the practice of resetting. So you post something, you really can't help it. You start to fall into the trap a little bit, and you can feel it start building up. That story of success or the story of failure. I'm doing well, I'm not doing well. You can't help but feel it. But you get into this practice of resetting, of letting go. And I find the most success doing this with the morning stream of conscious journaling that I'm doing,
Sure.
and also the going places and what we talked about a couple weeks ago with the artist dates where you go by yourself somewhere and you stay off your phone and you just try to stay in the moment and interested in what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I have
Can I
found with those, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to interject. I had every intention of doing that today. I was just feeling so fried, and I just kept thinking, "Oh, that 3 or 4 hours of escape seems so nice." And then I noticed that my article is trending on Hacker News, and I'm responding to comments, and I wound up just spending the whole day doing that. So
But I bet
That's
you
just
started
a
feeling pretty good, right? Like you no longer needed that.
well, I do not think that that is the case. I think I absolutely needed that, but instead I'm riding the wave and, I'm being thoroughly rewarded and stimulated by the internet. So, yeah, I don't know that that's a healthier choice.
Well, yeah, I was saying it kind of sarcastically, or I was trying to set myself up for saying that you're going to need it in 3 days.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
So what happened to me was I started resetting. I started becoming, balanced again, even though
Mhm.
my video wasn't doing well. I had accepted it and moved on. And then it's like the universe listened, was like, okay, he's ready to pull the sword from the stone. So, then it gave me a couple of bumps on in the algorithm. And it was I felt sort of peaceful when the views were kind of coming in and I'm getting all
Mhm,
these comments and I felt like, all right, yeah, I'm kind of ready for this. I was being moderate with it. I wasn't obsessing about it. I was being pretty good. But of
mhm.
course, I mean, you can't really help it. You start getting into it and it's just you start developing the habit of every time you open your phone or your computer, that's what you're checking. And it's just, 5 minutes goes by and you're like, oh, I wonder if I got another comment, or I wonder what the views are at now. Or,
Do you,
and it
do you do this thing? This is I don't even want to admit this in public, but I'm feeling honest. I'll post whether it's a comment or whatever this thing, and it's like every time someone responds or maybe even upvotes, I reread what I wrote in some sort of like weird celebration of just, oh yeah, this person liked what I said. Let me reread what I said. It's awful, but
okay, I do that, yes. I haven't been doing that recently with like my own comments. I tried to make a point of responding to every single comment, and I got a few more I got to do, and I've been kind of enjoying that. I'm sort of treating it like my morning journaling. It's just first thing pops
uh,
in my head, I send it, and then move on. So I haven't been doing that, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll do that with if I not this one, but definitely with reels I've made before. If I'm really happy with it, I'll just sit there and watch it and think, oh, this is so cool. This is
right.
awesome.
Okay.
And you
Yeah.
just go in this trance of you're just kind of worshiping this thing that you did.
Yeah.
And
It feels
leaving a
very
comment.
unhealthy.
Oh yeah, it is. But it's weirdly addictive. It is. Yeah, it's the wrong part of your brain. You do not want to be there. It feels
Okay.
good, but it is not good. It's
Yeah.
like it is doing a bad drug. It
Hmm.
is screwing
Hmm.
you up. Feels good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But you get in this phase, especially right now. Your thing's at number one. There's no way you're gonna walk away from that. And if you do walk away for a few hours, it's gonna be in your head. It's
Hmm.
just stuck. And and it was like my video, the reactions and everything were kind of stuck in my head
Hmm.
for a good 3 days. I'm gonna say 3 days.
Yeah. You're a little ahead of me on the timeline.
Yes. Yeah. So
I
I can give you some
I've got a
tips.
couple days. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate it.
So and I first I was thinking, okay, I'll shut all this stuff off and I'll get to work on my next drawing. Like I got to keep up with the art. I can't let that slip. But it just wasn't working because my brain was just not in it. So I decided to flip that and just ride the wave and do the things that wave wanted me to accomplish. So I used it as a way of working on my website, updating updating a whole bunch of social stuff, and replying to comments, of course, and working on kind of what I'm hoping to show in my next video. Or I thought a lot about future videos and all that stuff. Mostly just freaking out about it. But I did, I put some thought into what the next videos could be and all that. Messed with storage on my computer for video files and everything. I I finished making my Patreon live. So I put together a Patreon and everything. Um, so I finally wrote that first blog post for the Patreon. That's been sitting on my to-do list for I don't know 6 months now. So I finally did that, and so I used that wave of like hyper focus on this video as a way to get everything else surrounding it up to date. And I knew that was going to end, So for you, it might be something like, you posted this article, it's connected to your website or it's hosted on your website. So maybe while you're unable to let go of this focus, you just throw a bunch of energy into your website, throw a bunch of energy into future blog post ideas, reply to those comments, engage in what's happening right now. It's
Yeah.
okay. And don't force yourself out of it, but also don't build it up too much. Be aware that like this is a thing that happens and it's going to screw you up if you fall too far into the rabbit hole. So just try to moderate yourself. And after I believe it was the third day. The third day, I was getting to that point of, okay, like I would get another comment and I'm like, oh, like I'm not ready for this. And then I was thinking, what if I had like millions of views, and what if the comments never stopped? Like what if the excitement died but the engagement just stayed? I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't know how to do that. And so this was actually the first time, not in terms of getting a bunch of views and comment stuff, but this was the first time I felt a little afraid of success. Not that I'm anywhere near, like the amount of
Well,
success that I want, but it was
yeah.
this was the first time I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It would
Yeah.
be scary to actually succeed at this stuff. I I honestly don't think I knew what people meant when they said they were afraid of success until this week. It was this weird
Yeah.
realization of, uh-oh, this could be scary. Because there's people like liking my stuff, which means those same people that like me now might not like all my art, next time I
Okay.
upload it. Or, there's people to
Okay.
let down.
Yeah, I want to talk about that point specifically because again, going kind of back to my, you know, YouTube theory guy days, that was what really got me was this feeling of reaching a level of success, adjusting your self-image and identity to sort of meet it, where you now identify as a person who in very literal terms, publishes a YouTube video and then gets 500,000 views or a million views or whatever. Like that number, it burns itself into your brain and then you're that person. So anytime you fail to meet that, even if you publish a video and it gets 10,000 views, which is so many people, you're like disappointed and upset because,
Mhm.
oh, I'm this guy but I only got this. And then you hit a new threshold and you immediately just move your identity up to that level and then anything beneath that becomes a disappointment or whatever. I mean it's
Yeah.
shallow and it's stupid, but that's kind of the point. Like that is how your brain is just wired to work, or at least mine is. So
No, 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 no. Shallow and stupid is humanity. That is
yeah.
us. That's all of us. And it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I will take comfort in that at least. And again, I have every desire to pretend like this is not how I work, but I think it just is. So there is this worry that you set a bar and then anything beneath that becomes a disappointment. And as of last weekend, I wrote an article that didn't do well. And so my thinking is, okay, yeah, I'm disappointed, but I'll work hard and make a bunch more and try and eventually, make my way into, getting some attention and success or whatever. Now there's literally nowhere to go but down, at least in the sense of, the hacker news crowd and everything. And again, with that very shallow take of, being number one is the top, but like that's literally it. Now, nothing I can do in this context is ever going to beat this by
And
that shallow metric.
that is why the story should not be part of the equation at all. Because number one, you already made it huge on YouTube, right? So it's like you've already succeeded at something before, right? So the feeling
Right.
of people liking your stuff should already be part of your, universe, because that happened a long time ago. But the story of all this stuff, the numbers and everything, it's not It should not be a part of you moving forward at all. Like,
I
it
I
doesn't.
agree.
So how do you overcome that? It is not through conscious, like, buckling down and saying, "No, I'm not gonna care about this. I'm gonna do the next thing anyway," or whatever. Like, this trying to overcome those feelings consciously, I think never works at all.
Yeah.
The only way to kind of get to a point where the story doesn't matter is by finding ways of staying in the moment, as
Yeah.
pathetic as that sounds. It's the only answer, because in the moment there is no past and there is no future. There's only the moment, you know? So the practice of letting go of all of that stuff is the thing that you
Right.
you should be doing to counteract the story that pops up.
Okay. So let's say that this is the wrong narrative, this is the wrong thing to start building your mental model around of success on a social platform, YouTube, Hacker News, whatever, right? Really, no matter which direction it goes, if this is what you're thinking about, it results in something that is just unhealthy and unsustainable. What should the story be? Or in other words, what is the plan from here? What do you want to do? Um, Building off, what the success, but again, we're going to say that's maybe irrelevant, but building off of this project that you completed and then I completed, what happens next? How do you think about what you're going to do going forward?
Okay, good question. For me, I'm not going to forget the fact that I had some success on YouTube with my stuff. So I've been posting on Instagram for a long time, and I've got nothing from Instagram. It just, I mean, I'm grinding and grinding, and it's like, a new follower every week or something. It's just, there's just no point for me to dump all that effort into there. So YouTube has just treated me pretty well. So I'm not going to forget that. The problem is not in that I recognize that it gives me some success or some recognition or some reach, which is what I need right now. I'm not forgetting that. I'm just not looking at the story of me, which is, oh, I'm a person who does well on YouTube. 3,000 views is hardly that, but I'm not a person that's going to look at that either, as much as I can.
Yeah.
The story of me is the bad part.
Yeah.
The learning from the experience is good at it, and I don't want to forget that. So for you, you know, writing articles, apparently you're pretty good at it. So stop doubting yourself. You know,
Yeah.
apparently people like it. That's a good thing. You now have a platform. You know that you can post stuff. You know it's not going to be number one every time, but you built your platform. You spent the time 2 weeks ago to put it together. So you have the platform to post articles. You can, if you want, if this feels good to you, you can make it part of your routine. So every 2 weeks you put out a new article, or every month you put out a new article.
Mhm.
The- Both of our projects came from an honest place. There was no idea of success coming from these. They were just something that we genuinely wanted to do,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a pretty safe bet to want to do that again, right? Um, so for me, I want to make more YouTube videos. The whole point of me uploading this one was to do like a lower tier YouTube video, which is weird because it did better than the ones I spent months making.
Right.
So
I wonder if there might be a lesson in there.
I don't know. I have different thoughts on that, but that doesn't seem
Okay.
relevant to this conversation.
Okay.
Uh, But anyway, so the what I'm thinking about now is, how do I make this regular? This is wonderful. I hope to get continued success. I don't want to be thinking about this story, and I don't want to get too wrapped up in, is it doing good, is it doing bad, or whatever. It's just how do I make the next one? And for you, it's wonderful. You just got, the green light of, hey, you can be a person that does blog posts. That's wonderful. Keep
Mhm.
making more. It's not like you're
Yeah.
becoming a gazillionaire from this, number one on Hacker News. It doesn't, like,
Right. It does. Yeah. There's no
it should
translation
give you
there.
confidence, but it's not giving you, it's not giving you fame. It's not like catapulting you to Rolling Stone magazine or whatever. It's like, you know, you're just you're
Right.
number one on Hacker News. I was number one on the art Reddit, which was a
Right.
pretty big deal. It was like front page and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And literally absolutely nothing happened from that. Oh, actually, I was on a little Colombian magazine cover. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But
Those are
nothing
cool.
happened from that. I mean, I didn't get
Right.
any lasting,
Right.
viewership or fans from that. Uh, so it doesn't. I mean, this is going by next week or by 2 weeks from now. This is going to be a thing of the past,
Yeah.
and that's it. And so I don't know.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think what I'm hoping to, in a weird sense, the success on YouTube that I had a long time ago, um, did not actually translate into this feeling of confidence and self-assurance. You would think that it would. You would think that all of that would be validation for, yeah, I I can get this right. Not maybe not always, but I'm able to put something out that people connect with and is valuable to them and so on. You would think that would be the internal conclusion sort of, but it really wasn't. And there was so much self-doubt that kept occurring almost every time I put something out there where, like I said, I would do something and it wouldn't get a whole lot of attention. And I would think, I I don't know, I'm screwing up or whatever. I would just kind of score myself based on the success of whatever I happen to put out there. And eventually, it kind of blew up mentally to where I just was really unable to do anything. And even since then, you would think that having met success on YouTube would give me some confidence for thinking, yeah, I should be able to do well in other areas. And somehow it hasn't. And it's been there's this self-doubt around, well, you did well at this one thing, but that's it. That was the one
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
that was
I
in
had
you,
all
and
of the
that's it.
same thoughts. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I yeah. It's it's the kid. It's the Batman thing where
Mhm.
the more aware of yourself you are,
Right.
the more
Right.
you start. You hold a mirror up to someone, all of a sudden they have this narrative of themselves. Oh, I look good, I look bad, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or whatever. Like they start viewing themselves. And you become very aware. So when you're getting tons of views, you're sort of forced to think about, wait, what does that mean?
Mhm.
What do I, who am I? Whatever. It's just, it makes you too aware of yourself. And I think that's the feeling that it's giving you. Okay. I think for you, even now, you bring up this YouTube channel as this deep emotional scar that has scarred you from the past, from a decades long emotional trauma that you endured. I think that it is time for you to see this as a story that only exists in your head, and it's time to let go of it. Because if you could let go of it, forget about it. This is a story that you crafted. This is all in your head. It's not written in stone anywhere. This is just a thing that you made up and you have held on to because I don't know. We fall in love with the stories we write about ourselves.
Yep.
And we admire ourselves in them or we feel victimized or whatever. I think it's time for you to take that story and throw it away and write a new one. Make a new one. I mean, think about it. If you lost your memory today, you could be a person that has a successful YouTube channel in the future because you would not be scarred by this. It would mean nothing. You
Yeah.
just you could reach this sense of discovery every time you uploaded a video in anything. Like if you lost your memory, you wouldn't be haunted by these things. So it truly is completely meaningless. The only thing that means anything are the lessons you learned from it. Right? So you know that doing stuff like that can cause a problem. It can force you to run into these behavioral patterns that then keep you from doing things. So all of those lessons learned are good, but the story, the thing that hurts, That's got to go. It's got to go. And you have to get into a practice of letting go of those stories as they pop up for everything in the future. So for this article, you have to get into a practice of letting go of that as it starts to build up. Because if this builds up enough, if you fall down this rabbit hole of just worshiping yourself in this week, as you see this hit, number one, I am this person that can write things and I'm a genius and whatever,
Yeah.
it gets turned into story, and you'll hold on to that and you'll compare it to everything else you do in the future. So yeah.
I think you're right.
I am.
I'm saying that you are, so calm down. Um, I I think I'm getting to a better place with the YouTube self narrative and all of it. Honestly, I think just having spent a couple years doing this podcast has been therapy for all of that. So I think I'm in a bit of a better spot. And I think what I want to take away from seeing a bit of success in, this article that I wrote or whatever, which when you say it out loud sounds, you know, not that dramatic in a way. But what I want to take out of this is just a a feeling of self-assurance, not not in anything other than this idea that there are certain things that I find interesting. And I have my taste in the world, in music, in tech, in everything. And I trust that a little bit. There are certain things that I think are cool. And I want to have this feeling of, yeah, I'm right. As long as I'm really connected with that part of me that is just honestly having this feeling or this assessment of something to say, this is a cool thing. I think it's cool. And I don't know how many other humans are going to agree with me, but that's fine. That's out of my control. I don't even really need to worry about that. I just want to have this feeling of I can trust that inner part of me that just for whatever reason resonates with something and thinks this is a cool thing and it's worth spending my time on, putting my attention on, and maybe even sharing with the people. And never mind the social platform numbers and a scoring system like that will warp your brain for sure. I've experienced it firsthand. We get that. But I do want to take one thing out of it, which is that feeling of just sensing coolness, just something I like. I can trust that. And there is some validation for that sense.
Have you been reading The Artist Way?
No, but I
This
think
is-
I've been absorbing
you-
it
you're
secondhand
getting
from
it.
you.
The way to that is the only thing that matters, and the thing that also never ends. It's infinite. It is this infinite flowing enjoyment and interest in life. And I'm not even, I know I'm starting to
No.
sound crazy, but you don't run out of that.
Yeah.
You never do. So the only time where you don't want to create and you don't want to stay interested in something, or you don't find yourself enjoying a thing, is when you start, well, just getting, burnt out or whatever, spending way too much time with something. Actually, no, I don't even think that's true. The only time that you start to lose that is when you start looking at yourself and you start looking in the mirror. Oh, this hit me the other day, and I thought it was sort of endlessly fascinating. Maybe it's not, and maybe I'm a little late to this, but in the Bible, where Adam and Eve go wrong, right? According to the Bible, is when they eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Where human beings go wrong, according to Christianity, is not when they become evil, but when they become aware, when they get the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
And it was like, my brain just exploded. I was like, whoa, that's interesting. It's the consciousness of good things and evil things, and
Mhm.
what is a good thing to do and a bad thing to do, and am I successful or not successful, or this or that, whatever. I don't know. It is a fascinating thought. And
Somehow I really get that.
okay,
I
good. I'm glad.
yeah.
It You start thinking about, I mean, what makes humans different from all other, animals? Well, all other animals just indulge in good or evil or whatever. They will, a gator will rip apart a little baby bunny. It doesn't care. It's good or it's evil, it doesn't matter. The thing that sets humans apart is our knowledge and our observance, our consciousness of good and evil. I don't know. It is
Yeah. There there's this little bit in the inner game of tennis that I really liked. Tim Galloway is talking about how if you really want to screw over your opponent, give them a compliment about
Mhm.
something around their game. Say, "Wow, your backhand is just on fire today," or "It's so good." And that's like a curse that you can just sort of cast on them, and they will suddenly bring all this awareness to their backhand and start overthinking it, and it'll almost certainly break down throughout the match. I I find the whole idea of like cursed knowledge or cursed thoughts to be kind of interesting.
Mhm.
And maybe we could even have a whole conversation about that. But I completely agree. And there are certain things that you just can't think about because if you do, they corrupt your mentality somehow.
Yeah. And all of social media and all this stuff, all these platforms, it's like, here, have more knowledge
Yeah.
about how
Yeah.
it's happening. I was thinking about this. When you, like, let's say you go hang out with a group of friends or something, and you're making jokes and you're talking to people, whatever, and then you leave and you think, oh, that was a good time, or that wasn't the best
Mhm.
time, or whatever, but it's just a time, and then you leave. Well, what if you got a report at the end of that? 10 people laughed at your joke,
Yeah.
at your jokes. Three of them weren't funny. You stuttered like six times. Two people thought you were attractive, but 20 people thought you had a really bad haircut. And what if it gave you stats on
Right.
everything? And that's really not out of the realm of the future. But it's just, wait, why do we do this in social media when we do not do this at all when we just talk to people in real life? And the reason is because there's money involved, and
Right.
you know and
Right.
they want you to stay addicted. But it was just an interesting thought of, oh, we're not supposed to think like this.
Right.
We keep eating more and more fruit
Right.
and the fast food from the knowledge of good and evil. Okay.
Okay, so uh, to bring this kind of
Sorry,
back to
I'm just really proud of the fast food of the knowledge of good and evil.
no, I like
Okay.
it. To bring this kind of back down a little bit, what uh what is the plan? Like the actual concrete plan for the future. We both tapped into a little bit of success. We got some good results from what we worked on. Uh as we've established, trying to think of it in terms of success and failure is probably not healthy. What happens next? What do you want to do next? And in one sense, we are actually kind of in a different boat here in that the thing that you published was a sort of teaser for this greater project and universe that you're working on. What I shared was completely tangential to any of my projects, and it really has no sort of carry on into anything else. It is simply a one off of, hey, here's this interesting experiment that I did, the end. So, they're kind of setting us up in different ways, but I
Well,
guess regardless of that, like what do you want to do next?
I'm asking myself those questions about this because it's like, okay, yeah, this video that I uploaded was a bit of a teaser, and then it's, oh, what do I sort of reveal everything, or do I hold back bunch of like, do I, work on this thing or that thing or whatever? And it's like I got pulled in so many different directions. And now
Right.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna show what I'm doing right now,
Yeah.
and I'll slowly try to bring stuff out, but I'm gonna try not to overthink that
Yeah.
and just kind of roll with it. But that's sort of outside of the conversation. For you, I think you uploaded this article on this tech tech thing, with the glasses and everything, because it was something interesting happening in your life. Well, why don't you just consider that a genre of fun, interesting things you find in your life, and then you could just write articles on them. The next piece of success, maybe it's not hacker news, maybe it's um, I don't know, plant news or coffee news or whatever. Like maybe it's about something totally different, a complete other world. But now you have an avenue where you can write articles, you know,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
anything. You don't have to be tied down to genre. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, okay, so let's say that that is the subject matter or the angle, but I actually mean even in a simpler sense, literally what is the timeline? What do we actually
Okay.
do next?
I initially was thinking I'll do a video every month. But with this one doing well, I'm not sure if it's just an ego thing where I'm like, okay, I want to buckle down and do a ton more, or if it's are you being stupid if you don't upload? So I'm thinking I could upload another one in 2 weeks, or I guess 1 week now. I'm playing around with that idea. I need to make a decision on it. It's either I upload one in 1 week or I wait till next month to do it. And I'm not
Okay.
sure if that's where that's coming from.
Right. Well, I was what I would say is that the concern around seeing some amount of success is usually the winner's tilt thing where you don't want to do it. So if what you're
Right.
thinking is doing it more frequently, that seems pretty healthy and positive.
Okay.
So that does not concern me. Whether it makes sense to do it after a month or a week or two, whatever, I'm not sure, but generally
Okay. Maybe
speaking, more is good.
I don't want to say this, so I will say it. I'm going to try to upload another video by next Sunday. So a week from
Okay.
now, a week and one day
Okay.
from now.
I would love to kind of jump on that and say I'm going to do an article. I am leaving for vacation mid next week, so I don't think there's any way I could do something like that. So I'm going to have to kind of pass on this one. Sorry.
About if you're going on vacation, what about trying out a new setup, right? Because you use this setup on a different one. Does that make any sense? Or
Maybe.
writing like a follow up, trying out some of the things that people are saying, or I don't know,
Well,
just nice.
I'm so I'm going to be on a cruise for about a week, and the th- well, there's two things I'm very excited about. One is eating an unlimited amount of food every day,
Mhm.
and I can't wait to do that. And then two is being utterly detached from the internet
Okay,
for the
yeah, that's
duration of that week. I can't tell you how appealing that is to me. So I don't really want to try and do any kind of techie
yeah,
thing. I might read a book on my phone or something, but that's about it. So I'm just gonna call that week like a complete detachment from any of this, and I'm pretty into it.
I like that.
After that, I don't know. Maybe you just kind of have to do this one on your own, and I'm just gonna be gone. So
That's
I know
fine.
that's not
I
ideal.
just I don't want you to run into the winner's tilt thing either, and I don't
Right.
know if you will. It I mean, I would if I were you, because I am.
Yeah,
Like,
I can
I
feel
am
it for
running
sure.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Figure it out. We can talk
Okay.
next week.
Yeah.
Or just it might help to just write down, the next 10 ideas for articles. Just total blue sky, think out of the box. If that's something you want to do. I don't know.
Yeah. I am still very, very attached to this conclusion that we had last weekend, which was do this 20 times. I mean, the
Mhm.
original goal was not around seeing a bunch of success or whatever. It was make this feel easy so that it can be a thing that you do frequently, that doesn't blow up your life, that feels good, that eventually converges on an easy, comfortable thing to be done. I think that was the right call.
Oh
So
yeah.
I want to hold on to that and think we got to do this 19 more times and then we can reassess. So what do the next 19 blog posts look like for me, or whatever? What do the next 19 videos look like for you?
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel this uncomfortable, like I'm scared of uploading another video.
Right.
I'm scared of failing. And I
Right.
was scared of the first one. And that is the thing. That is what I need to do. And
Yeah.
I know it. I'm just terrified of it.
And
So
the goal
yeah.
is to make it less scary, not more. So
Yeah.
in a
And the
way,
only way
success is very counterproductive to that.
I think the only way to do it is to just keep doing it.
Yeah, I
And
guess so.
because a new video means me finishing a new drawing. Finishing a new drawing means not failing at the drawing.
Right.
It's just inherently scary. It's challenging.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we need to be, I guess.
Yeah.
We should
So
end this because I can keep rambling.
all right. All right. So concrete terms, what are you doing? And keeping in mind I'm going to be gone, so I can't really help with this, but what is your actual goal?
Upload a new YouTube video by next weekend.
By next weekend.
By next weekend, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I have to keep finishing drawings and writing stuff and coming up
Okay.
with ideas like that. That is the main thing. The YouTube video just documents that, hopefully. Um, but but even if I don't finish drawings, there's something I can come up with to talk about on a
Okay.
video.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring a pen and paper with me on the boat and try and come up with, but I don't know, more ideas for blog posts, I guess. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Don't overthink it. Just enjoy
Yeah.
this moment. You got
Okay.
a cool article on the top. Like, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Engage with the comments, learn stuff from it, and just think about what to do next. Don't, you're good. You're fine.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good job, team.
All right. See
You did
you
it
next
right.
week.
All right. See you then. Thanks, everybody.